Om-Jnana-Timirandasya Gyananjana-Shalakaya Chakshun-Militam Jene Tasmai Sri-Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manubhistam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadha Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. So, my dearest friends, tonight we are having a very important subject, which is called Achinta Bheda Abheda, or also more popularly known as unity in diversity. First of all, before I really start going off, I want to explain to you the concept of divine family. Divine family means something very great. That is the indication of family. What is a divine family? Well, first of all, a family means a circuit or a circle with some common concern. So the first family is father, mother, children. That is so much family that we even have the same blood running through our veins. We have the same genetical code and all that, which is like our how we were programmed. This is a quite intensive tie. Even though it is falling apart nowadays, family is in great, great danger of simply disappearing into just behaving like impulse-driven, valueless people who are simply searching and defending their own pleasure without even considering the welfare of their own wives and their own children. Of course, that is the extreme, no? But we are there, the writing is on the wall. That is where the world is going. Family is every day less regarded. But what I am presenting to you is exactly the opposite. It is the mostly regarded. So if there is a family, then that family should be of such a value and joy that it can keep us united for whole life. Now, is there some program going on for the kids upstairs? Is some senior devotee giving them a good time? Huh? All right, that's all I wanted to know. Because children have to have a good time, number one. Then number two can come. It's not easy. You have to look. If you are spiritually organizing anything, you have to think first about the kids. What happens to the kids? Anyhow, so that is the first family. Now, according to our Indian tradition, the spiritual master is a real family member. That is so important that when you accept the spiritual master, you can declare him your father as well. In India, when you declare your father, you can write down either your physical father or your spiritual master. Both are legally accepted. So, the spiritual master, he represents my spiritual commitment. It is through him that my life has a very concrete task. Besides the task of looking after family, you don't have to take a spiritual master to know that you have to look after your kids and your wife. That is already to be understood, common knowledge. But young people, especially when they're not married, they need a lot of training for their life, and they get that from the guru. So they join the Gurukula. So the Gurukula, there's two types of Gurukulas. Pancharatric Gurukula and Bhagavata Gurukula. The Pancharatrik Gurukula is your parents, they put you in a Gurukul, and then that guru is something like a Kula Guru. He's an official guru. You respect him, you learn from him, but he's not your definite, determined final guru. The final guru of life is the one you choose, because he answers all your questions. He fills the void which you have inside. Now, the Pancharatrik Guru may be also the Bhagavata Parampara Guru, but not necessarily. So there's no hard and fast rules. But understand that the Bhagavata Parampara Guru is that Guru which connects you with Krishna. And that is for us, Srila Prabhupada. Divine reality put into practice, presence, and tight and connected. Here we are. So, that great, wonderful position which Prabhupada has in our life, that is our Bhagavat Parampara Guru. Through the Bhagavat Parampara Guru, we have another family. That's like the third. The Gurukul is one thing, then comes the Guru relationship and the family. In the Guru relationship, we have brothers, sisters, uncles, grandfathers. The Guru's family is very, very large. Not necessarily. Some Gurus only have 2 disciples. Again, there's no hard and fast rule. But generally, like in my case, when I took initiation from Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, I had so many brothers and sisters that 40 years later, I still meet new brothers and sisters from those days who I didn't met at that time. So I'm still meeting old brothers and sisters. Can you imagine? 40 years later, because he initiated so many and made such a spiritual revolution in the world. So then, after Prabhupada, or through Prabhupada, I have so many brothers, sisters, so many uncles, and of course, grandfather, and all this. But specifically this family guru, that is so direct and intimate. So this is our spiritual family. That's the third family. Now comes the fourth family. Now, the way I'm growing the family concept, you may find it more and more abstract, and you may even doubt that the feeling can be genuine. But I will prove you that they are, because family feelings must be genuine. So, after your guru, there is so many branches in the same traditions. Like my uncles, my god uncles, they have their own missions. They're not connected directly with our mission, only through the root, and I love them also. That is the fourth family. It is the extended family. Then there is the fifth family. The fifth family is all those people who are belonging to the Vedic faith. There's 4 sampradayas accepted and recognized in India: Brahma Sampradaya, Rudra Sampradaya, Lakshmi Sampradaya, and Nimbarka Sampradaya. These 4 sampradayas, they all teach to love God with different varieties, but the essence is the same. So they are also my family. Then comes the sixth family. The sixth family is that family, those who love God in different traditions. Totally other religions, but they love God, they accept God, they have a conception that we belong to each other because we are all sons and daughters of God. So they are my family also. That is the next. So you see, family means family commitment. Then comes the seventh family. The seventh family, that is all the human beings. They may believe in God or they may not believe in God. They're still my family. Because as a human race, as a human being, I have a same father and mother, and therefore I should regard them even if they don't agree with what I feel is important about God, etc. Then comes the next family, and that is the family of all the living beings, meaning the very animals and plants. I should love animals and plants as well. And if you have a pet, you know what I'm talking about. You love the animals, and you can also love plants. Especially women, they know how to love plants. They have a special connection there. Because they're women, they're rooted. The seed from the earth, they know that. So the family of the universal creation is the next family, and that's a little abstract. Loving sun, loving moon, loving earth, loving rivers, loving mountains. Well, our native original, the Sami, they were very much in love with nature. So from them we learn that you can definitely love. And then what about loving God? Well, that is another thing, because if you love God, then you must love all the others, they're all included. So I just showed to you how many families you have. And on each and every one of those family relationships, there are values which you have impregnated upon your heart. And those values, they are the common necessities, the common goals. You know, necessity is the mother of invention. And united, we will surge, and divided, we will fall. To these common sense understandings, they are available in our teachings from our spiritual master. So therefore, when we say simultaneously one and different, then that means, it can mean many things. But in this case, it means that maybe a family member who is very close to me or not so close to me, but simultaneously he is close to me and he's not so close to me according to the circumstances. But I'm not separated. So this is one understanding of simultaneously one and difference. Matter and spirit, quantum mechanics, that's also simultaneously one and different. Energy or particle, they're both. It can be an energy, it can be a particle, so it's simultaneously one and different. Simultaneously God is an energy, and simultaneously God is a person. Also that simultaneously one and different. You have to understand that once you have embraced the responsible of divine family, the responsibility of a divine family, once you have embraced that, you can never forsake your family. Therefore, you need a proper understanding how to relate to them. And on different levels, we relate differently. We have different organizations for different families. For example, for the universe, we have the United Nations of the Spirit. That includes everyone. For Mother Nature, to protect Mother Nature, we have the World Conscious Pact, where we are all responsible for everybody. For the human beings, we have the Human Rights Act. For our religious brothers and sisters, we have the interreligious communication platforms to understand what are we having in common and how do we help each other and how we will not get into each other's way. For the Vaishnavas, we have the Char Sampradaya organization. For our spiritual tradition, coming from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we have the Vishva Vaishnav Raj Sabha to coordinate all the things we have to do for the benefit of all. For our spiritual masters tradition, we also have the Vishva Vaishnav Raj Sabha. And then for our own mission, well, we have our temples. Even in the Vrinda mission, hardly anybody knows all the members of the Vrinda mission. It's impossible. There are too many in too many places. But we are still one. We are one and we are different. The Chile Yatra and the Peruvian Yatra and the Mexico Yatra, they're different. But they're also one. So you can also, even in the very same family, you can say father has 6 children. They're all one family, but they're also different. So there's from the six children, he may end up having 6 families started, and those 6 families operate separately, organized, but they're still one family. And even your father and mother and you are one, and you're also different. You cannot say, I am my mother. Doesn't make sense. So in the same way, you cannot say, I'm God. Because you haven't created yourself, so how can you say, I'm God? Everything is permeated by simultaneously one and different. And somebody who says it's only one and not different, he has not appreciated this. He should listen to this class very carefully, because this is what the science tells us, this science of reality. Unity in diversity. And unity is the force. Dividing will never do good. Competing inappropriately will never do good. What we have to understand is that we do belong to each other despite our differences. And if there would not be differences, then there would be no creativity. If we are all made like with a machine, like all stamped the same way, how would that be? Some stupid American movie it would be like, no? Everybody a zombie. No, thank you. God has very carefully made us all individuals. And very handsome ones, and very smart ones, and very delightful individuals to meet. And then we go into life and start doing our things. But don't forget your family. You may go to Malmö, but you don't forget your family. Because if you forget Prabhupada, you have nothing. Then you're out there in nowhere. When you forget your family, you're somewhere disconnected. Therefore, we should not forget our family. We shouldn't forget any one of our 10 families. And we should work in cooperation. We should work in cooperation when there's a need arises. Like our human beings, if anybody of our human beings is threatened by some stupid war or something like that, we should all stand up and say, stop this war. That's what we all should do. Now, it may not possible, nobody may be listening to you, but still you should have that meaning, that feeling. We should not allow our politicians to do what they're doing. We should defend the values. And that's what the United Nations of the Spirit comes in. United Nations of the Spirit is like one of our friends said, only with a great deal of spirituality can we solve the problems of the world. We will not solve the problem of the world without spirituality. It is not a secular issue. It's not a rational issue either. Problem is nowadays all the great scholars are proud of their rational intelligence, their IQ, but they have no EQ and no SQ. They have no emotional intelligence and they have no spiritual intelligence. They just have rational intelligence. They can make machines, but they cannot solve the problem our world has. So therefore it is very important that we understand this. What is a spiritual family? And how do I relate to it in action? And not be a silent witness of the destruction of my family. That's why we preach vegetarianism, because we cannot silently sit by as our brother and sister animals are being tortured from birth to death, and then finally end up on somebody's plate. We cannot tolerate it. We are not vegetarian. We believe in God's mercy. If God wanted us to eat meat, we would also eat meat. But we see that the meat eating is destroying our planet, and that the holy people in the world, they have taught not to eat meat. So that's why we're vegetarian. That's as simple as it is. Now you may have a compassion for animals. You may have that also as your guiding inspiration. Very good. But compassion for animal is not the real issue. In love for God, you should obey what's good for you and for your surrounding world. This is basically, we have to submit ourselves to that which is obvious. The axiomatic truth is divine. And there's no axiomatic truth for Catholics and another axiomatic truth for Mormons and another axiomatic truth for Muslims. No. Axiomatic truth is axiomatic truth. Everybody who turns on the electricity is getting electricity from electricity and not from Christian electricity or Buddhist electricity. We all derive the energy from the same source, but we call the source with different names. Unity, union, in diversity, simultaneously one and all, one and different. All the different vocabularies in the world, they may be different, but they mean the same things. So if we reduce all the concerns of this world to that what is really important for us, then that is our axiomatic truth conclusion. That's why we should surrender. Surrender is something very natural. We all have to surrender when the military comes. We even surrender when a little thief pulls out a pistol and holds it to us. And he says, surrender. Give me everything you have. You go, okay, take. Huh? What to speak when a country comes and invades your country and starts killing everybody, then you put out a white cloth says, unconditional surrender. Now you have this country under your control. Now you do with us whatever you like. That's not easy, unconditional surrender. My God. To some idiot. To some horrible people. But sometimes we have to unconditionally surrender to some foolish people because we are not unconditionally surrendered to God. If we would be unconditionally surrendered to God, our problem would already be solved. Doesn't matter what system is there. So that is what we learn from our spiritual people. How to practice unconditional surrender to God. How to do that? And the answer is simple. Unconditional surrender to God means welfare for all no discrimination, acceptance of reality, whatever that may be, plus it also means to love everybody despite their shortcomings. To love people the way they are, not to love them the way you want them to be. No. You have to learn to love people the way they are. Then you understand simultaneously one difference. Of course, some you may even love a little more because you have so more common interests. That's also natural. Just like everybody says, my mother is the best mother. And of course he's right. She's the only one he has. So she better be the best one. But if somebody says, my mother is the only mother, then the whole world will come and to give him a beating. What you say, I have no mother? Hey, shut up, you stupid. So sectarianism, fanaticism, and institutionalized religion, they are so stupid to say, hey, God only wants us, God only created this clan, and all the other clan, they have no validity. This is really, really, really narrow-minded thinking. It is not the teaching of any saint. No saint in the world would say such a stupid thing, except if he is misunderstood, misinterpreted by those who are not saints. That may also happen sometimes. That the non-saintly interpret the real saints for something else. Okay, that's another problem. So that's all I wanted to explain to you tonight. Why we are a big family and you can't get away from it. You can't get out of here and say, I'm not part of this guy's family. You can't escape. That is the real understanding of theology. Because one father, one mother, and all the children. And that in India we call Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. We are all the sons and daughters of our great Mother Earth, and the divine power is behind it. Om Sarve Bhavantu Shukina, Sarve Bhavantu Niramaya, Sarve Badrani Pashyantu Ma Kachitu Kabag Bhavet, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti Hi. So that is our guideline. We follow that. That's what Lord Krishna has taught us. That's what the Bhagavad Gita stands for. And that's what you, as a well-feeling, well-being spirit soul, will also agree with. Because axiomatic truth shows also who is well-intentioned. As soon as you are well-intentioned for the welfare of the others, you will agree with all these things. Because I didn't make them up. And they are just the common sense spirituality which we should all understand. Now, any commentaries or any questions? Please go ahead. Don't be afraid. Yes.
You said
give some.
You were just mentioning that we need to love people as they are and not what we expect them to be. For me, it's very difficult to love someone who's not vegetarian. As an example, just this morning, one of my colleagues was talking about wanting to go and shoot partridges, and I felt a revulsion towards him. How do I get over it?
You have to learn this. This is very important. We, in the Spoon Revolution, we say, even if you eat meat, we love you very much. But if you stop killing animals unnecessary, we love you even more. But we cannot enter the duality of hating everybody who does things we don't agree with. This is not the teachings of the spirits, the spiritual traditions. They always say that we have to help the ignorant. So this poor guy who you're talking about, is how ignorant is he that he wants to hang out there in the cold just so that they'll kill a poor animal and then drag it home and eat it. This is a poor guy. So there are such things, and even there are some cultures, they eat meat, they have no other choice, like Eskimos. No, they just have no other choice. There's only fish where they live, so you have to love them also. You also have to love the fish they eat. It's a bit difficult, but in the end we have to understand that there's something beyond birth and death. And this world is created jivo jivasya jivanam, that one living entity is food for another. It's right there in the Vedas. So, but at the same time, we can educate people, we can give a good example, we can show in the evolution of food. It's a long list of evolution. It starts the cannibal society, where they eat absolutely everything, which moves. And it ends where you only eat prasad. It's the most elevated state of consciousness. And before that, maybe you only drink milk, or you only eat fruits, or you're strict vegan, or you're strict vegetarian. In this way, there are many graduations, no? And then there's those they eat cows but no pork, and the others they say they eat pork and no cows. So in this way, no? And then others they only eat goats, others they only eat chicken. Like that, you have so many graduations in the eating customs. And if we are on the high level, we should feel ourselves very lucky and have a lot of compassion for those who are still in that lower category of food, because they are karmically involved. Are you leaving us? Oh. Do you agree?
Of course, I completely agree with you.
Thank you.
But it's a journey for me. Compassion for such people I can have, but to love them, I have to make a journey.
Well, your understanding of love is now a peculiar. You're thinking of your love maybe which you give to your family or to your spiritual family, and now this one you don't give that same degree of love to him, but you still accept him as your family. And if he is your family, you have to love him. You can't not say no love to family. He may be killing some ducks or something, but if he's about to die and you can avoid his death, will you? So, why? Because you're family. No? So in this way, the last word on everything, God has himself. He knows what he wants us to know and how to tackle all the circumstances and everything. Next. Yes, my friend.
I find it quite scary to love everybody, especially people who give you an impression that they are dangerous.
Yes, but you have to understand the principle, my friend. It's not a question of lovey-dovey, sentimentalism. It is an understanding of that we have to understand that the freedom we have, the free will, it can also carry us the wrong way if we get the wrong association, if we do the wrong things. It happens so easily, you know. You've grown up in a neighborhood, and maybe some of your neighbors' kids, they are now part of a gang. Maybe, I don't know where you grew up, no? But in some places, no? First you were playing in the sand together with the guy, now he's a member of a gang. And you are not, because you had a good association and protection. He didn't. He slid into that. It's so easy to slid into that. One time I was a hippie, a long time ago. And I came to a city, and I didn't know where to sleep. And there was a young guy, he says, "Oh, you don't know where to go? Come with us, you can stay in our place, we have like a commune." Okay, I went with him. And then we were sitting there, and there was some fire, and we were eating, and it was like a nice cool. All of a sudden somebody came in and said, "I got a television set today." They said, "Oh, how did you do it?" "Oh," he said, "I just went to the shopping mall." He told you how they stole the television. I said, I was sitting there. Then another one came, and he told how he stole something. And before I knew it, I realized I was sitting in a kind of a Alibaba and the 40 robber commune. And that's what they were doing. They were stealing, and they were all socialists. So stealing for them was taking it away from the horrible capitalists. They had idealism, and they were like very bold in then telling the story. I got out next morning quickly. But if I would not have gotten out there, I would have become like them. If you're in an association, a certain association just drags you. No? Criminals, not that bad in the end, but they're really badly associated, and they couldn't hesitate. And they couldn't resist, let's say. That's what the danger is in this world. And why talk about criminals? Why not talk about the military? Why not talk about the police? They have children at home. They're just going for a job. But they're working for a system which is going to tell them, clap on these innocent people because they're getting in our way. Right? So now what is I should hate all the police and all the military people in the world because they are doing service for the irresponsible. So it's a tough situation. So what I was explaining to you tonight was the very abstract of understanding humanity. And humanity is a very faulty, frail group of people, full of mistakes. And you and me, we are two of them. So if we don't love them and forgive them, maybe we will not be forgiven. So in that sense, very abstract, I'm saying, have a good spot in your heart for them. God can also change persons. There's a beautiful saying which I love. It says, different language. Why? There's not anything beautiful a sinner cannot achieve. And there's no saint which doesn't have some kind of a past. So, both for the saints and the sinners, that is the life we are going to overcome, to that we become qualified to get some spiritual understanding and some spiritual generosity. I don't know if I made myself clear. I also don't love the people who do bad things to others. But on the principle I understand that I must at least be just. And above justice is mercy. So when we approach God, we approach Him for mercy, not for justice. Justice is human. Mercy is divine. So we are always praying for that mercy. For myself, for yourself, for everyone. Any other question? Are you satisfied with this answer?
Yes, I am.
Thank you. Any other question?
Maybe I can ask.
Yes, you're welcome.
When you were talking, I was actually thinking about it's quite easy to, as I see it, that we are a bit like sponges, so we absorb like what's around us.
We are what?
I
funders?
feel it's easy
Sponges.
to
Oh, sponges.
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 It's very
Oh,
easy to absorb things that are around us.
yes.
So I feel personally that it's very easy, or at least with people I don't feel comfortable with, to avoid them, because you don't want to absorb like the negative energy around.
And you're supposed to. That is a principle very strongly emphasized by the spiritual teachers, that you should not associate with those closely, intimately, who you can understand they will not help you in your spiritual progress. You should definitely choose your good association. There's many shlokas to that effect. Embracing good association and avoiding bad association.
But at the same time, if you can give good association to someone, you want to
Yes.
them to help, you know?
Yes, that is the generosity. If you have that spiritual power that you can do that, then you are entitled to do it. If you, instead of being pulled down, can pull others up, you are entitled for that. But one time my Gurudev said, you can catch the big fish, but don't get wet. So in that sense, yes, you may try to pull them up, but what if they pull you down? So one should not be overconfident. Next. Next question. Unfortunately, tomorrow we are leaving Sweden. So in a way we are also saying farewell, except to those who can come to the morning class tomorrow. Where will we have morning class? Here or in Vasudeva's place?
Vasudeva's place, basically.
Yes?
That's where I am.
I think so, yeah.
So, yes, Gopi.
How do you discern who is not good for you spiritually? Because I heard that the people who give you the most compliments, they're your enemy. And the one who chastises you are your best friend.
Oh, yes,
You
I know.
cannot know what's going on in the future. You don't know who is contributing to your spiritual life at that present.
Now you really put me on the spot. That is a very, very difficult question to answer. And I could give you many quotations now to simply increase the confusion. But to really answer that, now, amongst devotees it says you should neither criticize nor glorify anybody. But then the next verse says, but of the two, The one to glorify you may break sometimes, but the one to criticize others you should never break. So, glorifying is one thing, flattering is another. Sometimes we want to give due credit to people who have done wonderful things to encourage them. And then another thing is you want to flatter somebody so that he will he thinks, oh, now I can trust you 100%, but you're not 100% trustworthy. So that's like business people, they always flatter you, no? Because they want to sell you something. So therefore they might want to make you feel comfortable, no? So that's on one side. On the other side, phalena parichiyate, you should judge a tree by its fruits. So if somebody is actually encouraging you and you see he's also encouraged, then if he does say something positive to you, it may be just some divine encouragement coming to you. So in a sense you have to follow your heart and give it a chance from your heart to discern which case is it. Is it a good association or is it a bad association?
What if we just don't judge anyone? We just do what is to be done.
Well, we don't really have to judge people. But at certain moments in life, you have to take decisions. And in those decisions, you naturally will take shelter of your mind to give you a good idea. And the mind is very judgmental. So it's very difficult to say, don't judge anybody, just follow anybody. The mind will say no, because the mind will counsel with intelligence, and the kind of intelligence would say, there are standards, there are values, you're not supposed to be blind, so follow somebody who is showing you the right way. So in a certain moment that a certain discrimination is necessary, is allowed, but judging people just for the sake of judging them, we should not be done. It's not our business, we are not Yamaraj. But you should judge the ice, whether it's thick enough to carry you, before you step on it. Yes.
Yeah, you said not to criticize. I just wanted to know, sometimes in a spiritual family or your own extended family, it happens sometimes for your spiritual growth, there is a lot of hindrance. There's a lot of, you can't progress for some reason. But if you don't criticize or try to correct, then you fall back, you are not able to proceed further. So how do you correct that? Like at times it happens so many cases where I feel it's spiritually I need to grow, but for some reasons, for the situation, the person is not able to change or is not able to listen, and plus is also criticizing my higher ups,
So,
including the Supreme God. Now, how do you
Yes.
tolerate? You just can't listen to them and say, if they criticize the Supreme or the
if
spiritual, whatever.
somebody is trying to discourage you, you definitely have to part from that person. That
Part, okay.
Yes, part. That's clear, it's obvious. But on the other side, you cannot give a judgment to your point without a particular case, because every time, place and circumstances are different. And that's why I presented all the families we have. So maybe you're not associating with somebody on this level, but you are associating with them on another level. Like there may be some people, they are strict vegetarians, but they don't believe in God. So, but when they come to the vegetarianism and defending the animals, and so they do a very good job. You can still go and say, hey, you did a great job. So in other words, you have to like play it like by the intuition, and not be fanatical, not be dogmatic. Even great devotees have made alliances with those who were not great devotees at certain moments. Right? Remember the churning of the milk ocean? Sometimes alliances are like, if I'm preaching in Venezuela, I have to work with the Venezuelan government. I may agree or not agree, but I'm living there, and I can't go openly against the government. If people were preaching in China, they have to somehow or other harmonize with the Chinese environment. So in this way, life has certain things. You cannot always get it easy, clear cut. So then we invite you for taking some prasad with us, and if you're really eager to hear more, tomorrow morning we're gonna go on. Yes, my dear.
How do I keep my inspiration alive? I feel inspired when you are here, but the moment I walk out of the door, I kind of forget the feeling.
You forget it?
Yeah, I kind of forget the inspiration to chant and do service and everything. I feel it when I'm here, but when I go out in the world.
Yeah, we are pretty weak, no?
Yeah.
It's true, we are pretty weak people. That's why we need good friends and good association. Now we have something called Gurudev Life. Some people cannot come to the temple, but they can watch this and they say, it's still going on. He's still preaching. Maybe I should do something too. I mean, last but not least, what you are saying is very, very important. We will lose our enthusiasm if we don't put into practice what is there. And what is there is gratefulness and compassion. You help that other people may find out about what is valuable to you. If you help and if you connect other people and you look after them, then you will not lose your enthusiasm. Even though there's hard moments. Yes. World is full of hard moments. But besides the hard moments, there's many beautiful moments. They come together.